Only one place to start, the London Stadium, where there was a dramatic finish to the Super Sunday clash between Arsenal and West Ham. Gary Neville called it the biggest VAR decision in Premier League history.
Bowen's in, Swinger. Goalkeeper is in there. Wilson!
It's in.
Blocked on the line.
It was in, wasn't it?
Goal! Goal! And everything changes.
And this is an earthquake, a tremor of a moment, this. Here we go, let's have a look. Pablo there, his arm. Is that going to be given? Oh. I have to say, the big striker has got his arm across David Raya. He does disrupt him. And is VAR, what are they going to do? This is the biggest moment in VAR history in the Premier League. I think it's a foul, but have VAR got the nerve, the guts, the courage to make the decision? This is massive for refereeing in this country.
After review, West Ham number 19 commits a foul on the goalkeeper. Final decision is direct free kick.
So, Dermot and Jay, have you recovered?
I have, very much so. But
Dermot?
I think
Definitely.
my heart was like that. But we come to the right decision, in my opinion.
OK, well, West Ham had a stoppage-time equaliser scored by Callum Wilson. It was ruled out by referee Chris Kavanagh. That's after VAR recommended he go to the monitor to review a foul on goalkeeper David Raya by Pablo. And Todibo also held Raya's shirt. Dermot, what did you make of it all? And did Chris Kavanagh get to the right decision?
I think between the officials they did, Julia. I think when you watch it, there's so much going on, there's so much to look at. And what happens is you have to go in chronological order. If you look at it, Pablo puts his arm across Raya. He holds it, there's no doubt about that. If you look at the back, behind that, there's Declan Rice engaging with Mavropanos. Is that a penalty? Well, if you look at it in that order, definitely Pablo goes first. His arm's across. At that point, Declan Rice is reaching. He hasn't got hold of Mavropanos. He does get hold of him, there's no doubt about that. And I think if there's not a foul on the goalkeeper, I think that's definitely a penalty because Mavropanos is running towards the ball. But the first foul is, in my opinion, by Pablo.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with that as well. And I want to say, because of the magnitude of this game, with West Ham being in a relegation fight, Arsenal being in a title challenge, I think that's the reason why it's taken so long. But I think they came to the right decision because, like Dermot said there, Pablo's arm is across Raya's neck. Todibo, he's pulling on Raya's shirt. So that's why it has to be given a foul. I think if the magnitude of the game wasn't what it is, then we wouldn't really be having a debate about this. But one question I have to ask you, Dermot, like you said there in chronological order, if Hermansen was to run across Raya and actually head that towards goal, what would happen then? Would that be a foul on Raya still? Because it's happened before the challenge on Raya.
Well, if we run it, I can explain. If we can run it into the thing, but if you look, it is all about the sequence. But there, if you stop it there, if Hermansen heads that ball, Pablo hasn't engaged at that time.
Yeah.
There. If Hermansen heads that ball now, but there's where the shirt's grabbed.
Yeah.
So he's got to head that ball before that. He doesn't. If you watch it, carries on. He's grabbed.
But then you could say as well, maybe because Todibo
here comes the foul now.
But Todibo's pulling from behind his shirt.
He is, but that stops there. If you look there, that would stop Raya getting towards the ball. So at that point, you've got what's the impact? What's the consequence?
Yeah.
And I think the impact is he stopped him because he can't go forward. He can't attack that ball.
Yeah.
So once he can't attack that ball, he can't make his goalkeeper challenge. So that's the dilemma. That didn't happen. What did happen, as we see, it comes across. He does. He gets not only his arm there, but he keeps it there. He keeps it there.
And he holds his arm down as well.
And if you look, he's holding him there. Now, at that point, once he's done that, if you see behind, that's when Declan Rice grabs hold. See, here it comes now. There's the reach, as we call it. There's the shirt pull, and he holds him. He's holding him there in front of him, and he's got his other arm, and he cannot move. Look at the left arm. He can't move his left arm.
Yeah.
That's the massive impact that stops that goalkeeper. This is the one there. He's got that arm. You can see it. There's the foul. At that point, as I say, Declan Rice, you see he's coming into the picture now.
That's afterwards then.
That's afterwards, because what happens, once he's leant, Declan Rice is reaching.
Yeah.
He's reaching. But he then grabs hold of Mavropans, but the foul has already occurred.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, you know, you go through and I give a penalty.
Yeah.
And then, Julie, you flag offside. I go, oh, the offside came first, so the penalty's wiped out. You go in situation order, and the situation is definitely the foul comes first.
I'll tell you one thing that I would say about this, though. That is a really, really tough decision for the keeper to make as it happens.
It is.
Because there's so many arms there. They're all around the keeper. There's about 7 players in a small proximity. So it's really difficult for the referee to see that. But I think it was a very good decision from VAR. They see it. I think they dealt with it really well. People are going to say, why did it take so long? I mean, when I looked at that, I see it was a foul after 30 seconds. But again, because of the magnitude of the game, they had to make it right, because you don't want to see a team getting relegated or winning the title based upon a wrong decision. So that's why they took their time on that one. But I think it was the right decision in the end.
I think also it takes time because there is so many moving parts, as we explained. You know, can the goalkeeper head that ball? Can he get it? You look. Because it's not only like that, it isn't that.
Yeah, it's in his throat.
It's in his throat, and he does grab his left arm. You can see he's got his left arm pinned, can't get to that ball. Does Declan Rice engage before that? So stops Mavropanos attacking that ball. Yeah. There is so much to look at.
And there was Trossard as well, because people were saying to me as well, people were saying Trossard's even closer to Raya, and the defender, he's stopping the defender getting to the ball as well. So, I mean, there's lots of moving parts there, like you said. But ultimately, I think everyone can be happy, apart from, you know, the West Ham fans and the players. I mean, I heard Bowen's comments after the game, and I really like Bowen as a player, very honest player. But in that situation where he's saying Arsenal get away with a lot more, I think, I mean, Arsenal are probably the best at set pieces, but it swings roundabouts. And I think in this situation, it was the right decision.
And I think
you've mentioned plenty. Did you want to say something, Derm?
Well, just saying about the time. The time is so crucial, because I think Mavropanos is the other key factor, because he's on the move. He's moving at such speed that if Declan, he can attack that ball. But unfortunately for him, definitely the foul comes first. And I think that's what the VAR's got to be convinced of. Yeah. Has he been fouled first before Mavropanos has been grabbed? Because without doubt, if that foul hadn't have occurred on the goalkeeper, and he catches that ball, that is a penalty.
No, that's definitely a penalty with 100%. Declan Rice.
The VAR is going to say that's 100% a penalty, because he is going to attack that ball. He stopped him attacking that. But here's the crucial incident that happens first. There's the shirt pull. You see, there's the arm across, and you see the left arm pinned.
On his elbow.
And that's why it's a foul.
You can't really argue with that. When you see it, it's very obvious to see. But again, I'm going to keep repeating it because it's just the magnitude of the game, and it has to be right. That's why the VAR decision has taken so long. But again, like Derm said, you know, you can see Raya's shirt being pulled from behind. You can see Pablo's arm across his neck and holding his elbow down, holding his arm down so he can't reach the ball. It's the correct decision, and I think, again, because Arsenal in a title charge and because West Ham are down at the bottom league fighting for their lives, it's you know, it's very, the magnitude is just massive.
It is, and it goes back to what I say many times, Julia. You know, once you see that, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
You know, I get it, people are upset, I get it, people are going, oh, this has happened. But when you look at it, the nuts and bolts, you cannot unsee that's a foul.
Well, you guys have both talked about the magnitude of the game for West Ham, fighting down there in the relegation zone. So you can understand they were unsurprisingly furious with the decision. Nuno Espirito Santo is saying he's confused over what counts as a foul now. Dermot, is the law on grappling unclear, or are we seeing a lack of consistency in how it's applied?
I think it's tough. I think it's really tough. But people go, oh, you've got to change this, you've got to change this. We're on week 36 this weekend. You know, we're going into week 37 and 38. You can't suddenly carte blanche go, well, we're going to do this. Unfortunately, you've got to see it out. Some get picked up, some don't. I think the big ones get picked up. The ones that get picked up are the ones that really have impact, consequence. There you see Declan Rice there, and that's what I was talking about earlier. That would 100% be a penalty if Pablo had not taken it.
But how could you change that law, really? I mean, the only thing I can think of is if you say to players you can't start in the 6-yard box. That's the only way. But then, you know, it's ridiculous to say something like that because, you know, you should be able to start where you want on the football pitch. But I think in terms of that, that's why VAR is really good because VAR can help in these situations where the referee, the linesman are going to find it really difficult to see all the moving parts. That's where VAR comes into it, and they can see that because they can slow it down, they can see what the chronological order and make the right decision.
You got there in the end.
I got there in the end.
So West Ham supporters and many other football fans, I mean, this has been all over social media, even on our Sky Sports pages. This debate has raged. Arsenal have committed fouls on goalkeepers before without being punished. Here's an example against Aston Villa in December and also the opening game of the season against Manchester United. Are goalkeepers overprotected, and is this even a fair comparison? Dermot.
I don't think it's the same. It's difficult, Julia, to find a carbon copy incident. You know, every incident, as I say many times, week after week, is judged on its merit. You know, we remember this one on the opening day of the season. I just didn't think it was a foul. I mean, you blame the goalkeeper for not being strong enough. Yeah. You know, I think referees have been really good in sorting this out. What is impactful and what is not.
Yeah, that one there, I think the keeper does have to be stronger, that one there. But the one on Martinez with Gabriel, I would probably say that is a foul, especially looking at it now. I can't remember what I said during earlier on in the season, but looking at it, his elbow's up in the keeper's face. And that probably should have been given as a foul. But obviously Arsenal got the benefit of the doubt. I mean, there's been times when Arsenal haven't got the benefit of the doubt when, you know, there's been red cards and whatnot. Like Saliba got a red card at times. I think it might have even been last season. But Arsenal have had things go against them as well. But in terms of set pieces, because Arsenal are famous for the set pieces now and putting people around the keeper and, you know, scoring a lot of goals from them, obviously that's why, you know, there's a big light on Arsenal.
What about the clear and obvious argument, Jay? I think, you know, Kavanagh watched 17 replays of the incident. You've already said it's taken a long time, exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds between the ball crossing the line and a foul being awarded. Does that suggest he made a clear and obvious error?
Again, I just think it's really, really difficult. It is really difficult. And, you know, you have to make the right decision in this kind of game at this time of the season because we don't want to see West Ham go down a consequence of a mistake, and we don't want to see the same with Arsenal getting, you know, lifting the title from a mistake. So that's why it took so long. Obviously, I watched it. You know, I think most pundits watched it. You watched it, Derm. Most people will watch that and say, I see it, and I got to the conclusion in 30 seconds. But like we've all said here and we've agreed, chronological order, what's happening, how many moving parts there are. He had to be right. The referee had to be right, and I think that's why it's taken so long. Yeah,
I agree 100% on that because I think he's got to go to that screen, and it's not that he thinks it's not obvious. It's he wants to see the order. He wants to go, right. Because I still come back to the fact that it's so important to work out whether Declan Rice went first or Pablo went first. We can all say it. We can all say, yeah, that's a foul by Pablo. We can all say that's a foul by Declan Rice. Yeah. But if you don't work out exactly who went first, you get that in the wrong order, the whole landscape changes. We hear people be jumping up and down and saying, well, that's the wrong way round. The goalkeeper was fouled first. That didn't come first. Yeah. So it was so important that the VAR said to Chris, look, I know it's tight for you. I know you can't see this. You need to go and have a look. Make up your own mind. And he's looked, and he's looked again. He's gone, yeah, that's happened. Right, that's come first, that's come second, that's come third. Foul.
Yeah.
Mike Dean said on Soccer Saturday that referees are petrified to make decisions. How do you feel about those comments, Dermot? And as a referee, how much do you empathise with officials that may be feeling like that?
I just think it's tough to be a referee anyhow, and I think whatever level you referee at. I refereed under 18s game on Saturday. I thought the first half was really tough. You know, and I refereed in the Premier League.
How are your legs?
I thought it was really... They're in cotton wool at the moment. Like 14 ice baths since Saturday morning. But no, I thought it was a tough first half for me. I watched Premier League games, I watched Football League games, I watched the playoffs. I think it's a tough arena for a referee. You've just got to go out, you've got a blank canvas, go out, clear mind. give what you see.
I mean, I think I've been consistent on this with you, and, you know, footballers, they're in a tough job. Referees, again, officials, they're in a tough job. But I would like to see officials take more responsibilities and stop waiting. You know, if you know, it's okay to make mistakes, but put your flag up. If you really think it's offside, put your flag up. Take the responsibility to do your job. And then if VAR come back and say, you know, maybe you've got that wrong, okay, fine, hold your hands up. But I feel like now, because of VAR, again, referees don't want to make a decision, and linesmen, they don't want to make those decisions because they're scared that they're going to get, you know, they're going to get named. They're going to be called out on the wrong decisions. So again, I think that VAR is there to support the referees, but I still feel like referees should be able to take responsibility and make their own decisions as well. Officials.
Yeah, what you would say is the VAR at times this season's had a bit of a kick in. I get that. You know, people don't like it. People don't like it when it doesn't give them the decision they want. But I think this weekend, the VAR has done great service to referees. There's that one. There was 2 incidents at Fulham. There was an offside with Watkins. You know, the VAR got 4 decisions right, which without VAR would have been wrong. Yeah. So we have to be mindful that, you know, that we wanted VAR to get decisions right. Now they are getting them right. Let's not give them a kick in.
Yeah, I think you've just preempted what's coming up later on in the show. But we're sticking with this one for now because Mikel Arteta and Gary Neville both praised the bravery of Chris Kavanagh and the VAR Darren England, who will referee the FA Cup final between Chelsea and Manchester City on Saturday. Gary Neville suggested England won't face a more pressurised situation than that. Do you agree, Dermot?
I think it's probably the most impactful decision VAR have made in the 7 years it's been going. Because of the magnitude, as Jay said, it could potentially decide the title. It could potentially decide who goes down. There was so much at stake. It had to be right.
Now, 58% of you disagree with the decision and think the goal should have stood, and plenty of you are getting in touch about this. Greg says, yes, there was a foul on the Arsenal keeper, so disallow the goal. However, the rule should allow the foul by Declan Rice to be considered and a penalty awarded to West Ham. I think we've already kind of chatted about that with the chronological order.
And people don't understand that. And I think it's good that you've explained that really well, Dermot, because there is a chronological order. So it's not a case of, oh, there was a foul on the keeper, well, Declan Rice fouled him, so it should be cancelled out, it should be a goal. It doesn't work like that. So that's the rules, and that's why Dermot's explained that now everyone can understand why that was given, and we can move forward.
Well, Fiona asks, do we need to change how corners are refereed?
I think it's really tough. I mean, I'm not sitting on it. It's really tough because there's so much going on. I think what referees do now, they prioritise. Am I impacting on Jay? Am I impacting on the goalkeeper? Have I done something that's actually affected somebody playing that ball? Because there's so much going on. You could sit there and tear it to bits. And we want to play football. We don't want to just sit like on a computer game and just, oh, this is this, this is this, this is this. And at the end of the day, it's not an exact science either. It's just a beautiful game.
Well, Jason wants to know, why did that VAR decision take so long?
Again, it had to be right. It can decide a relegation or a champion. And I think that's why it took so long. That's why it had to be 100% right. That's why they had to see the chronological order. Like, everything had to be checked. Again, the reason why we're having this discussion today is because it's Arsenal against, you know, West Ham, who are at the bottom of the league. If it was 2 teams, you know, I don't know, maybe Newcastle against, you know, someone that's Forest, we wouldn't be having such a big debate about this because nothing is going to impact them either way.
Wrap live from the London Stadium, where we've had the huge game, of course, here, where Arsenal have beaten West Ham by a 1-0 to go 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League. Watching all day with me, Kevin Nolan, Theo Walcott and Owen Hargreaves, and we are delighted to be joined as well by the Arsenal skipper Martin Odegaard to begin the show as well. Well, first of all, congratulations. That was chaos, that was mad, but yeah. How does it feel at the end of it?
Yeah, no, it feels amazing. We had to dig deep. We had to fight for it, and yeah, this is the Premier League. It's never easy, and we got there in the end, so yeah, amazing feeling. Right, before the gentlemen go in, let's get the elephant out of the room, because what were you feeling when West Ham was celebrating at 1-1? There was a lot going on in the box. I think there was a lot of holding there, and we all had a feeling that something was wrong, you know. So yeah, you can see they pulled David, you know, so he can't get up there. So yeah, that was the feeling, and yeah, luckily for us, we got there in the end.
Was that an agonising wait? Because it's a huge call in terms of the season and the title, isn't it?
Yeah, it's, of course, you're a bit nervous in that moment, but yeah, of course, big relief after the game when we got over the line, you know, so really happy.
Do you wonder why sometimes it takes them so long when they look at it for so long? Because I think that's what creates a little bit for the players and for the fans. That's why they get frustrated. Shouldn't take 4 or 5 minutes for a decision like that.
No, I mean, ideally you want to get a quicker decision, but I think we have to understand as well it's a big decision for both teams, you know, so and it's a difficult decision to make. So yeah, ideally it has to be quicker, but yeah, that's the reality.
Oh, give us an insight into Mikel after those scenes in the dressing room. I'm sure would have been exciting, but not just tonight, but the Champions League as well. I mean, the environment that Mikel set, and you players as well, has been exceptional. I mean, today you can just see the togetherness when we're sat behind the bench. Everyone's willing to win, and I feel that's the change in, you know, in Arsenal Football Club. I mean, just show us some insight into that.
Yeah, I mean, we're proper like a family, you know, always fighting for each other, and we've been through a lot together. We've had a few difficult moments together, you know. We've lived a lot together, and you know, the other day going into the Champions League final was a massive moment for us at the Emirates with the fans, and in the dressing room after was a big moment, and yeah, today as well, and there was a good atmosphere, you know. So it's nice to share these moments together, and yeah, let's stay calm now and look for the next. But it was a big moment to celebrate.
And also David Raya making the saves.
What a save that
was. What a save. The
We've got to
first up, but the second one, I just have to ask you about him.
Yeah,
how important has he been this season?
And the block from Gabi as well, you know, they've done that the whole season. It's incredible to see how, yeah, the effort they put in, how much they love to defend the goal, and yeah, all of them, to be fair, in the back there is unbelievable. So yeah, a lot of credit to them. David again with the most amount of clean sheets, you know, is massive for us. So yeah.
Go back to the big moment though, that took 5 minutes almost to rectify that. We were talking to the Arsenal skipper about when West Ham thought they'd equalised, given on field, and then Darren England and VAR asked the referee Chris Kavanagh to have another look. Are we all happy on the day that this is the? I mean, it's a huge call in the Premier League title race and survival race.
Yeah, look, we've spoken about how long it takes, but look, he's obviously been pulled. You can see it in the second view here when it comes up, when his shirt's been pulled as well. But not just that, Pablo as well comes in the second action, and it disrupts him. I don't feel like David Raya was going to actually claim the ball. However, he's definitely intervened, and it's a decision that's disappointing when you look at it in the West Ham front, because they deserve something out of the game. They really did. However, when it takes that long, that's the very disappointing, because the fans don't know what's going on, and that's the sad truth of football, what it's come to now. And even to the point when we're watching football, my son has to ask me, can I celebrate a goal? I'm like, you're going to have to wait, just because VAR come in. And we don't want that. But when you look at the decision, I feel like they did come to the right one in time.
Which is the crucial thing. Are you in agreement with that on the day, that is the correct decision to rule that goal out?
Well, I think if you're going to look at the stills and the slow motions of it like that with his arm on him, you're not going to give that, right? So, but again, we've kind of created this situation where set pieces become such a feature, and you got 18 players from 22 in the space of 8 yards. You know, so then I think it's very difficult this season. You've seen it a lot. The goalkeeper can actually do his job. Everybody's bumping him. Arsenal have been the best at it, by the way. That's why it's so ironic that the goal happened the way that it did. I think obviously Pablo's got his arm on him, and then I think Todibo's pulling his shirt. And I do think you should be allowed to do your job in this division. You know, it shouldn't be about me just, you know, I'm not standing up on you. So, do you know what I mean? I think I've not become a fan of that development of that where everything's just crowding the goalkeeper. You know, I think there's been 267 set-piece goals this season in the Premier League. You know, we're only going to get more if we keep allowing these situations. I don't know how we fix it. There's too much time on throw-ins.
So what are you saying? It's the right decision today, but it hasn't consistently been right throughout the season?
I'm a fan of seeing the boys decide the game on the pitch and not guys on screens. And if it takes you over 5 minutes, that's too long. Obviously, Dan England, I think he's the one that said, go have a look at, or he looked at it for 5 minutes and then sends the referee over. But I just think it takes...
Can you understand that, given the magnitude of of which way the result was going?
No, I can. Obviously, it's a massive decision for both. I just prefer the players deciding the game, Steve, not people on screens. And I can understand why it took that time. But I just want to see the boys decide and not people looking at screens. I just think people come to watch this game. This is why this game is the best in the world. because of the boys out on the pitch and the way that they play. And I think now we're having too many moments where we're looking at screen dead stills, and I just think it takes away from the whole thing.
You have teams as well. You have teams as well that will probably train for it as well.
Yeah.
They kind of train for VAR, you know, set pieces and think we could probably win something here. And I feel like that shouldn't be the case, but essentially you're kind of using VAR as a positive, really, to try and get those kind of fouls and those decisions, because they look at it so in depth now.
Because they all come off the bench. The set-piece coach is off the bench right away. He's looking for the blocks. He's sulking about it. The goalkeeping coach is looking at it because he's looking at his goalkeeper, saying he's been impeded. But like Jared said, what goalkeepers got to realise is that they're going to have them infringements. You're going to have contact. They are the most protected player on the field of play. When anyone ever touches them, if that's a player, I believe that goal stands because of the way it is. Because if you look at that little bit of a clip, Declan Rice has actually got his both hands round Mavropanos at the back end of it. He's got his both hands, so if he misses it completely and he's underneath, he's pulling Mavropanos down. So I mean, if you look at him here now, he just grabs hold of him. Look, there you go, both hands, and now because he's lost them. If now that drops to Mavropanos, would that now become a penalty because he's now stopping him? I don't know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. And we could look at that and keep looking at it and keep looking at it. I think it's because of this, that pull there. I think that's the reason why it got knocked off. I don't think it's because of the Pablo arm. I really don't, because I don't think that impedes him enough to do it in the end. I think it's because of the first contact where he's pulled his shirt.
How would you feel if you were on the current coaching staff in that West Ham room at the moment?
We got sent off it.
Kev would have been in there, wouldn't he?
Well, funny enough, a member of the West Ham staff did get sent off today, and I did think of you.
Look, I would love to have. And I know it's all hindsight, but I would love to have seen it the opposite way round. West Ham be 1-0 up. Arsenal score that goal there, everything else, and then see it how it was if it would have been still the same, you know. And because I feel like Arsenal do it the best. They do it the best, and that's why they've scored so many goals and been so consistent. And because they work hard on them. I know that anyway. And we worked really hard at them when we were here at West Ham, and that's why we were really good at them, both defensively and offensively. So they do it the best with the blocks and the stops and stopping keepers from getting out and everything else. So I'm sure if you go back on all their set-piece goals this year, I'll bet you there's been an impediment on a goalkeeper for them, and they've got the benefit of the doubt. And that's the inconsistency. That's nothing to do with Arsenal. That's them taking advantage of what we were just talking about, and they've done it brilliantly well. The sad thing about it today is West Ham's been on the receiving end, and that could ultimately put them into it is in the relegation zone, but could get them relegated for the end of the season.
But the Arsenal players have been on a 5-minute roller coaster there, haven't they? They're thinking, oh my goodness, we've let Manchester City back in. We're only going to get a point, and then at the end of the review, they've ended up with 3 points and one hand on the trophy.
No, 2. No, I mean,
you said it. You've got to say it.
No, I mean, I think as well as players, when the referee goes and looking at it, it's fact, as well. You kind of stand there, and I just feel it's not a great look. It's not a great look as well when you have 22 players surround the ref, when he's got voices in his ear and he's trying to make a decision, because it's a major decision as well. He's got to be really sure, and that's the difficulty these referees have when they got people talking and trying to doubt their decisions, and that's hard. And I feel like referees should just referee how they see it. And that's why I've not been a fan of VAR anyway, and I'm with you. I feel like it's all about moments football that's created. That's why I love to play in football. That's why, my boys play as well, and I think that's the enjoyment. That's starting to go, and I don't think we should have that, because just to see excitement in West Ham scoring was incredible. The atmosphere, the scenes, and then it just deflates everyone. You can see the anger and the frustration. It's not pretty to look, and I don't think that's a good look for the league.
You didn't genuinely believe that? The joy of seeing West Ham score here.
I did
incredible.
when it was disallowed.
He said that with a straight face as well. Brilliant acting from Theo Walcott.